Hello everybody. Today we're going to look at different aspects of being a psychic person. Now, it has its advantages, yes, but it also has great disadvantages. Now, I believe that being psychic is in us as a species to keep us safe. Go back 100,000 years. You have some girl who dreams of fires or floods, warns the tribe, they move, and then they live to pass on the genes. It has survival value. But now, in our modern world, we don't tend to have the same dangers as saber-toothed tigers and etc. But we still have that almost like a fight or flight part of ourselves. So our psychic side can sort of deceive us. We can feel danger in a much more magnified way than it really is. So being psychic, you can sense deeply into other people. But the thing we tend to pick up are the things that we ourselves don't like. I remember years ago, when I first started doing my work, I would feel something in someone and I'd think, you are an absolute bastard. You'd feel turmoil and sort of darkness and all the rest of it. But often what it was, that energy was something that someone was trying to suppress. And often the best sort of people, religious, kind, spiritual, they kicked a dog once or they shouted at their partner and they were ashamed of it. So they used enormous energy to suppress this thing. And it's the energy around it that I was feeling, that glowing heat. I've also read for gangsters and murderers. They feel no guilt. It's very hard to feel what's going on there. They don't give a shit. There's no guilt there. And so often, when we sense something in someone, they're often quite good people, and we're seeing a distorted view. Years ago, when I lived in South Australia, I read for a girl who had some schizophrenia. And she said the worst part for her was feeling eyes watching her all the time, everywhere she went when she slept. We did the cards and she showed up as a very psychic person herself. And I pointed out to her, I said, you're the eyes, you're seeing into these people. They cannot see into you. You're the psychic one. You're aware of them, they're not aware of you. And this is another part of the problem. We can distort it. Now, these are some cards I put out today, again from an old reading. It was for a couple, young couple, and they were very lovely and quite psychic, and they were going to get married, and they were both terrified. She kept having dreams of things going wrong. He felt she was going to run away with somebody else. Their life was just full of disaster. They're due to get married next month. So the cards that came out with this, that's him, lovely young man. That's her, just kind, they're made for each other, they're both rods. They're going to have children. Things were going to be okay. But the card they continuously got when they did it was the Tower. The Tower is the sum of all our fears. It's the 9/11 of our life. The worst possible thing. And they were psychic people, and it's very hard to look at ourselves. They are projecting their fears into the cards, which often happens. If you're reading for yourself, be careful. Sometimes people make it, I don't know, ultra wonderful or ultra bad, and they're both not real. So that's often good to get somebody else to read it for you. And this is the other reason that I do numerous spreads, because if what I'm seeing is real, the same cards, the same energy should keep turning up. I've done this long enough to know I can be wrong, so I will double and triple check. Now, Jessie gave me an idea, and it's this. If you want to look at yourself, change your perspective. Look at your mother's son or your friend's friend. Try and stand back and look at yourself. And often you'll get a far more accurate reading. But as I said, being psychic, it has its downside. And people who are psychic can often become isolated because we don't really want to know what our partner or friends think about us, because sometimes we're assholes and sometimes they just don't like us. And normal people who are not psychic, not normal, you know what I mean, people who aren't very psychic, they dismiss it, they don't care. But people who are psychic or empath are ultra sensitive. They'll feel every little mood. You'll go to a party and feel someone look at your choice of clothes, you'll feel their disapproval, and it will bother you. So, yes, being psychic is wonderful, it's also not wonderful. So take all of this into account. Trust it, but question it. Don't be so sure you're right all the time, because like everything else about our minds, we can distort things. So double check, triple check, question yourself.
How would you triple check?
I use different modes. I use like the mirror, the cards. I look at someone's palms, and if what we're seeing is real, the same energy, it should bubble up to the top. It should keep showing. Whereas, like these cards, if this horror here, the tower was really coming, there would be darkness in these cards.
So would you do mini spreads?
I do one and then I do another one just to double check. But if they were quite obscure and different, I'd take one card, put it to one side, use that as a significator, which stands for the person, sort of like a photo. Then I'd do it again for that. And if it just keeps coming up strange and distorted, I wouldn't do that anymore. And the reading probably wouldn't happen because it's pointless. Something about their fears or anxieties is interfering. So I'd leave it for another time.
So like the tower.
Like the tower.
Would you look at that if that kept popping up?
Yes, I
Right.
would. Okay, nice to talk to you all again, and I hope you're well and happy.